No one in the village knew how Daniel's roasted chicken stayed so fat, soft, and juicy that people kept coming back every day. Then, suddenly, strange things began to happen. His famous stall stayed cold, and a heavy, sour smell drifted from his compound. When the villagers finally gathered courage to check on him, what they found inside froze every heart with fear. In Ober village, everybody knew Daniel, the big man who sold roasted chicken by the market square. From morning till late evening, smoke from his big iron grill filled the air. The smell of spice and firewood traveled far. People from nearby villages came with baskets just to taste his chicken. Come and buy soft roasted chicken, tender and sweet, price for everybody, Daniel shouted, his heavy voice carrying through the busy market. His chicken was always soft and juicy. No matter how many people came, he never ran out. It was a mystery. Even when chicken became costly in other places, Daniel's price stayed the same. Some people joked that maybe he planted money in the ground. Others lowered their voices and said, "This one is not ordinary. Maybe he is using juju." But the truth is that hunger and taste are stronger than rumors. Men who hardly spent money would still stop and buy. Women who promised to cook at home changed their minds when the smell of Daniel's chicken entered their nose. Daniel was a tall and muscular man. His apron always neatly tied well around his waist. When he laughed, his chest shook like a drum. People thought he had everything: money, customers, and joy. But hidden under that big cloth was a secret that even his closest neighbors did not know. Not far from his stall, other chicken sellers began to talk. One woman named Mama Joy, who also sold roasted chicken, felt jealousy growing in her heart. Her own sales had dropped since Daniel came. How can one man sell so cheap and still grow rich? She asked aloud. One evening she even told a few neighbors, "I will find out the truth. Something is hiding in that man's life." People's curiosity deepened when Daniel suddenly bought the house he now lived in. He announced it proudly at the market, thanking God and smiling as he spoke of his success. For many, the question became stronger: how did roasted chicken alone bring such money so quickly? Then something strange began to happen. At first, he only felt a small pain in his right leg. He tied a cloth around it and kept roasting. But the pain grew stronger. Sometimes he would stop turning the meat and press his leg hard, thinking no one noticed. Sometimes flies gathered quickly when he shifted the wrapper. Still, he went on with a wide smile. Then one evening, while the line of customers grew long, Daniel tried to stand to fetch more chicken. His leg refused to carry him. He sat back heavily, sweat running down his face. The fire in the grill was not as hot as the fire in his leg. "Daniel, are you well?" a customer asked, when he saw the sweat pouring down Daniel's face. "I am fine," Daniel said quickly, forcing a smile. "It is the fire that makes me sweat." The man nodded and kept eating. No one wanted to question the hand that seasoned such delicious food. As the day's trade ended, Daniel dragged his heavy body home. Inside his house, his right leg throbbed as if a drum was beating inside the flesh. Market day returned. As the smoke rose and the first customers arrived, Daniel forced himself to stand. He set the coals, placed the chickens, and began to sing. But halfway through turning a row of birds, a sharp, deep pain shot through his leg. His hand trembled. He almost dropped the iron rod. He clenched his teeth, pretending nothing had happened. Yet every step felt heavier. Every turn of the chicken sent another stab of pain through his body. By late afternoon, his voice was no longer loud. The smile on his face had grown thin. The customers noticed but said nothing. They were too busy eating. When the sun dipped and the market began to quiet, Daniel packed what little was left of the chicken and limped home. Night settled quietly over Ober village, but Daniel's compound stayed awake with a different life. He sat on a low wooden stool, slowly loosening the heavy wrapper from his swollen right leg. The cloth peeled away with a damp sound, revealing the sore that had become his secret treasure and curse. When he touched the edges, they felt hot and hard, as if the flesh was cooking from inside. As he lay in the dark, he remembered the night years ago when everything changed. He remembered Lagos, the market noise, the rich cars. And Chief Benson. It all returned to him like a film inside his head. Long before Ober village knew his name, Daniel was a thin young man in Lagos with eyes that never stopped measuring other people's wealth. He worked at a busy spare parts shop in Ladipo Market. From morning until night he carried heavy engine parts, cleaned oil from the floor, and fetched bolts for customers. But while his hands worked, his mind burned. Every day he watched rich men arrive in big jeeps. They wore agbada that swept the ground and shoes that shone like glass. Their perfumes filled the shop before they even spoke. They laughed loud, as if money itself was their friend. Daniel would pause, cloth in hand, and whisper under his breath, "Why must I live like this? Why did my father leave me nothing? Why did my mother have no land to give? How long will I suffer while others swim in riches?" This bitterness grew like a hidden seed. No matter how much his boss praised him or raised his pay a little, it was never enough. He counted other men's cars instead of counting his blessings. Among all the wealthy customers, one man held his attention more than anyone else: Chief Benson, a powerful car dealer known across the city. Chief's convoy always arrived like a festival. His gold chain flashed in the sun, his laughter carried like music. People greeted him with respect, calling him Odogwu. Daniel watched him with hungry eyes. For many months he studied Chief Benson's visits. He noticed how the man's pockets never seemed empty, how he spoke like one who owned the ground he walked on. In Daniel's heart a voice whispered, "This is the kind of life I must have. I cannot remain a servant forever." One hot afternoon, while the market buzzed and generators roared, Daniel's desire boiled over. As Chief Benson finished his purchase and turned to leave, Daniel wiped his oily hands on a rag and stepped forward. "Chief," he said, trying to keep his voice steady, "please. Show me the way. I don't want to die poor." Chief stopped and looked at him closely. Was not the first time someone had begged for help, but something about Daniel's eyes held his interest. There was boldness, almost desperation. For a long moment the market noise faded. Then Chief smiled slowly. "You are a brave one," he said. "Many talk but few dare to ask. If your heart is strong, come and see me tonight. We shall talk like men." Daniel felt his chest beat fast. He bowed slightly. "Thank you, Chief. I will come." As evening approached and the market lights blinked on, Daniel's mind raced. He barely noticed the smell of petrol or the voices bargaining around him. He had no idea where Chief would take him or what "show me the way" truly meant, but his heart was full of one thought: this is my chance. I must become rich, no matter the cost. Few days later, at the back of the market, Daniel waited alone beneath a flickering streetlight, the shirt on his back freshly washed for this secret meeting. When the sound of a car horn cut through the quiet, his heart leapt. A black Jeep rolled to a stop beside him. The back door opened and Chief Benson sat inside, face half-lit, a faint smile in his eyes. "Get in," Chief said. Daniel slid in quickly. For a long time they drove in silence. Daniel gripped his knees, questions crowding his mind but too afraid to speak. At last the Jeep stopped before a small mud house. Chief Benson stepped out and motioned Daniel to follow. In the middle of the room sat a thin man with a long white beard and eyes that shone like wet charcoal. "Welcome," Barber said in a low, steady voice that seemed to fill the room. "You come to find the road to wealth." Daniel swallowed hard. "Yes, Barber. I am ready."